So hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. Okay, it's time to talk about episode 4 and listen. I think as we all know, I have a lot of fucking thoughts, particularly on this one. I have said it many times before, okay? It's no secret that I love Daryl. He's one of my favourite characters and he has been since day one for me. Since day one of me starting the show, I have just adored him. He's the kind of character that you just stick with. Sometimes blindly, like I can admit sometimes like his storyline took dips, it took turns I didn't like. It kind of went stagnant for a while, but I love him. He's a character I'll stand by forever. As long as the show's going, I'm gonna like him. So yeah, I gotta say episodes like this, oh boy. I loved it though. I mean, this was one of the better ones so far of the season. I felt like it was structured really well. There's so much about it that I liked and that worked. Yeah, I mean, look, as much as I joke and I say, oh my god, I hate this, like when it comes to the Daryl stuff, I still loved it. It made for a good storyline. I do feel like though we've gotten this a lot when it comes to Daryl. There's always people at him. There's always people trying to hurt him, kill him or torture him, and I'm like, you have a multitude of other characters to choose from. Motherfuckers, go pick one of them. It's probably is completely intentional at this point. The amount of kind of throwbacks and callbacks we have that aren't even necessarily like explicit in how they're given to us, like the whole Daryl in the cell thing. I said it and everybody else said it. It was so easy street days. It brought up flashes back to season 7 and it was reminiscent of early scenes that we gotten with Daryl. Well, not early, I mean earlier than this. So like there's been another few examples of that so far throughout the season since season 11 started that it's nice. It's nice to see a lot of callbacks or a lot of like little nods to past scenes that we've seen, especially since it's the last season. I'm like, yes, give us all the throwback content. I will love it. I still stand by what I said. I said a lot of things about Leah in this reaction and I still totally stand by them. Now I do, since the introduction of like the weird cult guy at the end, I think his name was the Pope, I do see more now where she's coming from. Yeah, like, you know, she's part of this group that she's kind of, there is like a savior complex there where they came along and found her when she needed it most. She feels kind of loyal to them. Is it like a loyalty or a fear of not being able to leave? You know, there's a difference between feeling some sense of kind of like a familial bond because they were there and they saved her at the time when she needed it, or I literally can't get out of this and I don't know what the fuck to do. So it's kind of, I'm already getting the saviors kind of vibes from this group. It's a very similar setup where some people follow out of loyalty, but I'm guessing the bulk of Pope's followers follow out of strictly fear. You know? Speaking of fear, yeah, I got Teddy cult-like vibes. Pope is like if Negan and Teddy had a love child in the apocalypse. Pope would be it. This crazy son of a bitch is out there talking about fire making people pure, or that those who could survive the fire are now reapers, or whatever the fuck shit he was talking about. It was very like Teddy from Fear the Walking Dead. If you don't watch, Teddy was like a cult leader. So he was like really reminiscent to him, but also Negan in the early days. So I want to see a showdown already between Pope and Negan, because again, I feel like Negan's ego would come into play and he'd be like, well, hold on now, here 1 second. I was once a leader of a somewhat cult situation. But yeah, anyway, getting back to Leah, because I got sidetracked. The problem I have most with her character, and I've said it before, the only problem I have really is the episode that we got her introduction in. It was supposed to take place over like a year or some shit. I get that, but as a viewer, we only got 1 episode with her. I get that like time jump and time moves different in the actual show as opposed to like us, the viewers who are watching it. But like you get 42 minutes of this character being introduced. You can say, oh, it happened over a couple of months, it happened over a few months. The relationship between her and Daryl was over a larger period of time. Okay, fine, but as a viewer, you still only seen her in 1 episode. So it's kind of like, okay, you can kind of wrap your head around it somewhat. But when you've had a character, and I'm not apologizing for it, because he is probably the only character on this show I feel this way about. When you click with a character that much, you love them. You know, you feel like you know their character. You feel like you know where you would like their character to go, but you can appreciate when it doesn't go the routes that you want. I do try to stay kind of impartial when it comes to things like that. Because I always say like, well, writers know better than me. Because I don't know the first fucking thing when it comes to writing a show. But I do know what I like to see and I do know what I don't like. especially after watching the show for such a large chunk of time, right? So like when it comes to Daryl, I feel like you've had him since season 1, and he's never explicitly slept with or had like romantic relations with another person. And then you're going to have it all like transpire over the happening one episode, and then just move on and have it kind of said in passing, and it's like, well shit, okay. that was my problem with it. I felt like it was not that the act itself was forced. Him and Leah, I don't really feel anything for her, to be honest, because we've only had her for like 2 or 3 episodes, so I'm like, yeah, I don't really know her at all, you know, so whatever. Yeah, but I feel like you're gonna force a situation like that over the course of one episode and expect viewers to just click with it and gel with it and be like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Well, no, because it just doesn't. So that's my problem with the Leah and Daryl situation, yeah? I know there's a lot of shippers out there. A lot of people ship him with Carol, a lot of people ship him with Connie, a lot of people shipped him with Aaron for a while. So there's a lot of people out there that, when it comes to Daryl, want to see him with people. I've kind of come back into like impartial territory. I really don't mind. And I don't really have a preference for anything like that. There was a while where I thought they could maybe go with the asexual route with Daryl's character and just not have him express any romantic interest in anybody. I thought that would have been cool to see on a show. But clearly they're not going that way. I don't know. I feel like, and then with this episode then particularly, like, you had the moment between Daryl and Leah where they're talking and she's like, oh no, like, I know you're just as stubborn as ever. And as viewers, it was just really weird because it's like, I get it, they had a thing, but we only got 42 minutes of that in one episode. You know what I mean? So it's just so odd to see this seemingly an outsider to us. You know what I'm saying? And like, it's hard to click. It's hard to gel with her. I just don't feel that connection to the character at all. So that was odd. But like, yeah, now seeing that she's a Reaper, a lot of people pointed out the fact that Dog was a Reaper and double-crossed Daryl, and it's like, well, as far as I remember, Dog was Leah's dog, so it does make sense that Dog would see Leah and be like, bye Daryl. But yeah, like, I don't know, seeing her then having it revealed that she's part of the Reapers, having it revealed she's with this other crew, and having her stand by while Daryl was tortured, that to me was the biggest no-no. And I know they're going to try and take it in this different, they're going to try and take it down this different road where it's going to be like, well, she had to, very much like the Sherry, Dwight, Negan kind of setup, where they're going to have Leah kind of be this more complex 3D character that you're going to want to sympathise with. And I'm like, okay, but she still stood by and watched him be tortured. I get it, she couldn't give up that she cared about him. She couldn't necessarily give up and kind of side with him because that would not have gone down well with the group. I get it for her own self-preservation. But, like, still, I'm like, no. If that was me and that was somebody that I loved, I don't care. I don't care what situation I was in. I'd be like, you don't torture them. You don't put your fucking hands on them, or so help me God, I will start chomping hands off. The new situation. Daryl, God bless him, he always finds himself getting into the worst fucking situations. We've seen it time and time again. Like I said, we saw it. He nearly got in with the claimed group. He tried, well, he didn't try, but they tried to initiate him into the Saviors. I'm like, leave my man alone, just let him be. He came out of the fire and they're like, hey, welcome to the group. And Daryl was like, was not aware that this was a test. So yeah, I don't know, I liked this episode, I thought it was good, but it kind of raised me with more questions and rage than anything else. And again, I can recognise it's because he's my favourite character. It's like with Supernatural with Dean Winchester. Don't even get me started on him. He's my favourite character from that show, and oh my God, do I have thoughts on him and his story arc and the roads that he was taken down and stuff. But when you love a character, you get attached to him. You know what I'm saying? And when things are out of character for someone, you feel it. As much as the writers would like to say, no, you're not right, it's like, okay, but like when you've lived with a character for long enough, I feel like you do kind of get to know them as you would a friend. So yeah, I just feel like this whole episode, it was odd. It was like, okay, it was like the standalone episode we got with him and Leah in the forest to begin with. It was like, but why? Now, I get, like, for the bigger storyline, for the more overarching story that's trying to be told, you got to introduce them somehow. You got to bring in the group somehow, give them a bit of a backstory, give them grounding so they feel less comic book-y, I guess, and that they transpire or they translate better to screen. So, like, alright, that was done pretty well. I feel like their backstory and Pope's backstory particularly was done really well. But yeah, if they're gonna try and like set up the kind of Leah and Daryl storyline, honestly, I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna look, work, or be on screen. But I mean, it's season 11, it's the last season. Anything could happen. So who the fuck knows? Something that a lot of people were pointing out in the comments as well is I said that I often got motorboated and waterboarded confused often. I don't mean the acts, I mean the words. I get the words mixed up. Both the blessing and a curse of being dyslexic. Sometimes you get words muddled up in your head. But yeah, you guys really latched onto that one little comment. Yeah, I got a few comments as well about the length of the video. People being kind of bitchy and being snappy about the length. If you follow any other reactors, then I'm sure you will know that copyright for some reason is just being a total bitch this season overall. Anyone that I've talked to that does videos, they've all gotten caught up with copyright issues, and it's like one of the safest ways to just kind of ensure that even if you do get copyrighted, if you dispute it, one of the safest ways to kind of make sure that your video will remain online and remain viewable is to keep it under a certain runtime, which I have now started doing. You guys probably will have seen a shift, particularly since I started season 11, because I don't want my videos to be taken down. Like, I'm not going to put time and effort into something and get excited to talk about it with you guys if I know it's going to be taken down either straight away, automatically, or in a week when someone decides to. So yeah, that's the deal with the runtime and stuff. And it seems like no matter how often I explain it, I still get people going, what's the deal? And it's like, YouTube is the deal. But yeah, I have a Patreon where I do more extended cuts. I think the versions I put up on Patreon like 25-30 minutes long, because it's a platform where you can have the freedom to do that. So the link to that's down below if you guys want to check that out. There's also a bunch of other reactions over there. Like there's I'm currently doing ongoing reactions to the X-Files, Buffy. I'm doing a bunch of movie reactions. I've started up reactions to Star Trek. So yeah, there's a whole mixture of stuff, old and new over there. And the link to my Twitter and my Instagram is also down below if you want to keep up to date with me and the shit that I be talking, because I know I do talk some shit. But yeah, I feel like this was like a rambly, kind of more ranty video. But it's nice. It's nice that, I don't know, I felt super invested in this episode. And like when it comes to Daryl, I know it's kind of a joke when it comes to me, because you guys all, you know I love him, and he's probably the only character that I am super vocal. I'm like, I do not even care. I fucking adore him and always will. So I think it's funny whenever anything with Daryl happens, I always have anyone that knows The Walking Dead and knows me, whenever anything happens with Daryl, everyone else says, I was waiting to see what you'd say about that or what you think about it, because you know how passionate I am about his storyline. And I don't know, man, it feels good to be so invested in something. Especially, like, I don't know, the last year, all the shit that's been going on. It's good to have that fire still for something. So yeah, I was excited to get on and talk. You guys let me know in the comments of the reaction video most of your thoughts. But yeah, if you have anything you want to add, you can drop them down in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll talk to you all soon.